Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, Key to Exploring Multiple Design Ideas. My name is Rob Romanowski. I'm the Director of Operations today for 3HTI, and I am your host today. And I'm also joined with Andrew Leedy, a applications engineer from PTC. And Andrew is going to give you a presentation, brief presentation, and a demonstration of the PTC Design Exploration extension, which is an extension that fits within the Creo suite of CAD software. His presentation is going to take somewhere around 15 to 20 minutes. Everyone is on mute during the presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to type those in. We will try to answer your questions as we go along. But we will definitely answer all questions at the end. So just about a minute for a couple people who are on the line that may not be familiar with 3HTI and wondering, well, who is 3HTI? What is 3HTI? And what is this all about? Basically what our mission is, we try to allow people to live better lives by helping our customers innovate and create better products, ultimately helping to improve their profitability. We are not a peddler of software, engineering services, or 3D printers. Basically what we want to do is help our customers solve their problems so they can operate better. And we do this through software and engineering services, contract manufacturing. We are one of the leading training centers for PTC, both with online, remote distance learning training, or in-person training. Now, we are an industry leader, providing our customers with an expertise in design through manufacturing with the digital transformation of their intellectual property. And these are the solutions that we offer to be able to do that. So basically, what is the digital transformation? It's basically helping our customers take their ideas and transform them digitally so they can run an analysis and also share these ideas and concepts internally and externally. So you can see we have the whole host of PTC solutions, and also another area of expertise for us is within additive manufacturing, as we are the #1 Mark Forged reseller on the planet, and also represent the EnvisionTech product line of 3D printers. Basically, these products help customers in manufacturing by either printing products that mimic T6 aluminum or have very high resolution, as well as a host of analysis software products with Mentor Graphics and Moldex 3D. So at this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn everything over to Andrew and let him take you through the presentation. We're also joined by Jim Gilmore, who is an industry leader and expert that has been in the industry for 20 plus years, we'll say. And Jim is also with 3HTI, and he will be fielding some questions today from all of you. So, Jim, thanks for being with us. And Andrew, it is all yours.
Okay, thank you for that introduction. As he said, my name is Andrew Leedy. I'm an application engineer here with PTC, and today we're going to be talking about Creo Design Exploration Extension. And just tell me real quick, can you see my screen there?
Yes, I can.
Before I go on. Okay, perfect. So just to get this started, before we jump too much into what this extension is all about, I really like to just take a step back and go through some of the challenges that we hear from our customers and that you might be seeing today. All these challenges revolve around how it can be so challenging to explore new ideas with a design, especially if we're developing a complex system with a lot of interdependent components. So some of these challenges could be, so I have a final design, I want to reach it. How do I get there? What is the best possible way to review and evaluate my design concepts? How do I manage a complex change without risking my original models? And how do I explore different ideas to eventually reach the final conclusion in my final design? So typically today, we see our customers, it involves a lot of manual backup of models to folders, repeatedly closing and cleaning sessions, and then manually revisiting and reviewing all your iterations until making a decision. So first, you'd back up and duplicate your models to those ad hoc folders multiple times. So make a change, save a file, and then you end up with multiple design files for one product that I have to narrow down to. I have to remember which file stores what design change, etc. Then we're repeatedly closing and clearing our sessions to reload those different design versions. So it's taken a lot of time, and bookkeeping just becomes a huge nightmare, especially when we get to a lot of different versions. Then we want to bring this to a design review. So there's a lot of value in having numerous concept designs for one product, and I want to evaluate all that within my design review. But how do I manage dealing with all those ad hoc folders, all those different versions, what different change is related to what model? It just becomes a huge headache the more and more in depth we get. And then we're manual identifying and incorporating our design change to carry it forward. But we ended up with all those multiple duplicates, and each has the different variations we want to include. And for our final model, we now need to go back, track all that down, track how we did all those different features, and add them into that final master copy. So we've designed the design exploration extension to tackle a lot of those issues. So this is going to allow users to rapidly explore design changes without risking my original design, committing to changes, or creating duplications of data. And this figure kind of shows the general process or the general layout of what this would look like. So we're at a certain version of our product, 8.3 for this chair, and I make a checkpoint to start off with. So at any point I could jump out of this, don't have to worry about what I'm doing further on now. And then I'm just creating a series of checkpoints and branches of checkpoints to eventually narrow down to a final design choice. But I'm keeping all these checkpoints stored in one place without having to save and load in new files. So let's go a little bit more into what that means. So I'm basically creating a sandbox for my design where I can just play around with my models without worrying about messing up anything or losing information. So the first thing we do is snapshot the entire session content, as I said. So any changes from this point on can just be safely reverted. And then I'm just capturing incremental changes. So I'm trying one thing, making a change, making a save, making a checkpoint, making another change, seeing where my model goes, and just exploring different design options. Then I can instantly toggle between all these checkpoints I've set. So the system replaces in session for me the different model iterations as they were when I created that checkpoint. And if I find something I like, I can safely accept the change, or I can just revert back to my original one risk-free without having to worry about the integrity of that original model. Some further things we can do with this is that we can split into different directions. I can develop simultaneously all kinds of different ideas and eventually just be available to evaluate all my options before making a final decision. So let's take a look at what this would actually look like within Creo. So for this demonstration of the design exploration extension, I'm just going to be using this shaver here. So we can see, just to get an idea of what this model is made of, the outside is controlled by a surface model, freeform shape. On the inside, we just have some pieces here. If I go back to my entire assembly, we can do an explode state of this just to see all the different intricate components that might be working together here. And I want to make a design change to all of this. So we can go up into my file, manage sessions, and we're going to start a design exploration session straight from within Creo. So we're just going to try some new things. So I can give that session a name. I want to explore the shape and the color of this, give it a description so I can always come back and remember what we changed here, and then just okay us off, put us into the design exploration session. So once we're in here, you can notice we have this new checkpoint tree. So this is where all those different checkpoints are going to be stored off. We already have an entry checkpoint, and we can start to very easily make some changes and add in a new checkpoint. So first thing we might want to do is just something very simple. Just change the model appearance here. We can change the color of our handle. So this is a very simple change, but in the other world, we might be making an entire new save file for this just simple color change. It's only taking me 20, 30 seconds to go through and change all these different colors, but I would have to make an entire new file for this. So I can just manage all these changes within the design exploration session. So now I have a blue handle. I have this chrome look on it. I like what it looks like. We can just save this off as a new checkpoint. So we're just playing around with those what if scenarios. So I can give that checkpoint a name. So I can, so we'll display in the checkpoint tree and give it some keywords so we can always remember what we changed further down the road. So now that checkpoint is stored and we can go back to it after we've made some more changes. So let's just start doing that, just start making more changes. So something else that's simple. Instead of blue, we might want this in red. Again, we might need an entire new save file originally if we wanted this to be red, but with the design exploration extension, we can just save it as a new checkpoint within this same Creo file. So we might want to change the outer color, might want to change some of the more details in the buttons. Regardless, we can just save off the changes once we are happy with it. So save this off maybe as the red chrome look, so we can again differentiate between the other checkpoints, give it some keywords, snapshot that and go about making some more changes. So if we want to do something more drastic, we can actually change, the entire surface of our model. So I can go in and modify some of these features. So in this case, we have a freestyle feature that defines the outer shell of my razor. And for anyone who's unfamiliar with how freestyle works, we're basically just going to be pushing and pulling these individual nodes, edges, faces, just to do something a little bit more conceptual. I'm not defining the equation that's actually going to define what this curvature is. I'm just pushing and pulling and making some simple change. So we might want to do this change so that someone can rest their thumb on our razor. So now we can go back, we can regenerate our entire model. We might have other pieces of our model that are going to be using that as a reference, so they're going to have to go through, make some changes to those. But after it's regenerated, if I like the look, if I like how the other features have changed, I can go through and just save this checkpoint again, just repeating that same process. So again, give this a name. So I change the button here, or I change the wave, I change the outer shell to be more wave-like. I want my keyword to be button. We can go on from there. So snapshot that checkpoint again. So now that we have a few of these checkpoints laid out, at any point, I can just go back to one of my previous places. So if I want to go back to how this model looked whenever I made that blue chrome checkpoint, I can just very easily go back there without having to risk any of those changes that I had made beyond that point. So now we can go through and make another change to this model. Let's change how it was modify a pre-existing checkpoint. So I kind of liked how the surface looked with a little bit of a change, a little bit of a wave to it. So we can go through and modify this blue chrome to have that a similar look. This time we might want to use the freestyle to change the outer side. I might want to place to rest my fingers. So I'm just going through, no matter how complex or simple of a design change I'm going to be doing here, I can modify this within the design expiration extension. And at any point, again, if I don't like the change I'm doing, if I start to see that I don't like how this model looks and I don't remember how it looked before, I can just revert back to another checkpoint and continue on with my design. So I might want to change one more face here. Once we're all done, again, regenerate that model, get back into my assembly mode, and go on from there. So now it's going to regenerate the final assembly. So now we've modified a pre-existing checkpoint. Now going on from here. So right now we've done some simple things. We've changed the color, we've done a conceptual change. I'm going to want to go and actually design something parametrically, how I would probably be designing things on an everyday basis. So I can go, if I don't like the changes, we just say there's all the modifications will be lost. Let's go and activate one of our other checkpoints. So I want to actually define how the buttons are going to be laid out on this razor here. So I'm just going to be doing some standard Creo work. I have a sketch that defines where those buttons are going to be placed. And I want to make a quick change to that. And if you notice, what we haven't done as we've gone through and done all these changes is I haven't saved my model and I haven't saved a copy of my model. So there's no master version of my razor floating around. There's no different version controls. Everything is just going to be within one place. So now I want to actually define parametrically how those buttons are going to be placed within my razor. So a little bit more of a complex change than we've done before. Go back, see if I like that. If we like what the changes I've done, repeat the process, save that checkpoint off. So now it's regenerated. We can see what that new layout for the button is going to be. If I like it, let's make it a new checkpoint. Again, give it a name, give it some keywords that are going to define this, maybe throw in a comment if I want, and just get full insight into my entire process here in that checkpoint tree. So, and if I want this to be a checkpoint that branches off of the red chrome, I have control of that as well. So I can create branches, I can create independent checkpoints, however I want to control all this. At any point, I can also just move between all of these. So I can go back to my original state. I can go to that button wave that we had done. I can go to that button position. I can just keep jumping between all these and working simultaneously on all my design ideas for this. One last thing I want to look at, we can even change the different parts that are going to be placed within my assembly. So not only can I change some sketches, change some features, I can actually have a checkpoint that has an entirely different part from all the other checkpoints. So any design change you want, no matter how big or small, we're able to do here. So now I have that new part applied to my assembly and give that checkpoint a different name, give it some keywords, and go on from there. So now at any point, if I'm all done with all the ideas I'm having, we can just save this session off. And what it's doing here is it's not going to be saving off my individual parts here. It's actually just saving off incremental changes within a one file here. And that TMU file is going to be very lightweight because it's only saving the incremental changes. So we can save that off. I can distribute that to whoever else might be working on this model. I can bring that to a design review, however I want to handle that. So now we can choose a checkpoint that I want to go with, that I want to exit my design exploration session with. So if I found a winner here, we can just get out of there. If I want to cancel and go back to my entry checkpoint, this is what we'd be left with, just that standard black razor. But again, we might have a winner here. We might have something that we think we can push forward into a new design. Maybe that original blue chrome look that just changed a little bit of the colors was something that we wanted to go forward with. I can accept that change from within my design exploration session and just get back and start. And now we're back within regular Creo. So now I can go through, maybe do a simulation of this or whatever I want to do with my model. If I want to go through and do some more design changes, I might just want to start a new session and just explore how this would look further. So we just go back up, design exploration session, and start something new. So just to recap here on what we saw, the design exploration extension is all about just evaluating different ideas for a model without having to risk the integrity of that model or risk the original design. So what it's really going to do is facilitate creativity. So no matter how complicated of a design change I want to make, I know that I can do that without having to make any risks there. I don't just have to make safe changes. That allows me to evaluate all the possibilities. So I might end up with something that looks completely different than what I had originally started with, just because I'm able to create branches off of different ideas and just let the design process take over at that point. And after it's all said and done, just being able to have more interactive design reviews. So having those reduced multiple and uncontrolled copies floating around, I don't have to worry about all those extra files, and really just being able to document my decision making, because everything that I'm doing with my one product or within a one change can be put within that single TMU file. So that's really the design exploration extension in a nutshell. I think we can open it up to questions if anyone had any at this point.
Sure. And while thank you very much, Andrew. That was a good job. Nice overview, great presentation. One of the things that I want to do is I actually want to ask our panelists. There have been, since this is a newer technology in CAD, what are some of the workarounds that people have created to this? Because I think what's happened is people have developed workarounds, but they're still not as efficient. They're still very inefficient workarounds, and this can help people become more efficient, save a heck of a lot of time. So I want to ask our panelists, what are some of the workarounds that people have created in lieu of this, and how this is an applicable solution?
Saving dozens and dozens of iterations and changes, on their hard drive or in their PDM or PLM system. So that's one. The other thing is, when you make changes, how do you know which one? It's very difficult to go back and see which one, what files you're looking for, etc. So this is just a productivity improvement, and we sold a lot of this when PTC brought this out a year ago. We sold a lot of it. It's kind of died off now, but now they have a promotion on this quarter to combine this into certain licenses. So, we're seeing a lot of renewed interest in it, but it's just time saving, ease of use, and saving storage space, and also retrieving previous iterations or designs. That's really where you get the benefit from this. And as Andrew said, it enhances the creativity because you can do things very quickly and easily with no repercussions. You're not saving files, you know what I mean, and making additional file numbers or what have you, part numbers, etc.
Thanks, Jim. Joe, anything to add to that?
No, I think that pretty well sums it up, Rob. Between, the webinar and what Jim added, it's basically just being able to work more efficiently. And as I said, or he said, it lends itself to less confusion, because now you have all your different iterations stored in one file, and it makes it easier to go back and forth and see what you had done in the past to get where you're at, or if you want to use one of those iterations in place of whatever your current design is.
And you can share that TMZ file as well. That's another benefit with other people. So,
a couple questions came in. First question is this similar to the save as baseline concept, but with everything with one file?
No, no. This is this takes that baseline to the next level. Baseline is what you would save in Intralink or Windchill or something like that, and then create different designs off of that. This is a lot faster, easier, more lightweight. It can be permanent, but it's not as permanent as creating design iterations off a baseline.
Next question is, the single file would be a reduced size with only saving iterations, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Correctamundo.
Yeah, the single file is a very lightweight file. It's just almost like a reference file. That's all it is. But it has the recipes that you use to create those different design iterations and variations.
Excellent. So I think that's going to conclude our webinar for today. We did it in under 25 minutes, which is excellent. That was our goal. Once again, if you need a more detailed presentation or need to learn more about how the design exploration extension or anything else that we offer fits your needs specifically, contact us at info@3hti.com, or you can contact me directly. My information is there, and I'll connect you with the correct 3HTI expert that can help you, and we can go in deeper and help you figure out what makes sense for you for your business. Once again, I want to thank Jim Gilmore and Joe DiCarlo, who also joined us today from 3HTI. Thanks, guys, for being panelists and answering questions today. And also Andrew Leedy from PTC being on. Appreciate the great demonstration and your time. So most importantly, thank you, our audience, for being on today. Thank you for your time, and have a great rest of your afternoon. Take care.